Welcome to On the Point Podcast, a podcast for all things Overwatch with a heavy focus on League. And oh my god, do we have so much to talk about this time around.
Yeah, we've fallen behind a bit. We have a lot of catching up to do.
It's almost like we've been busy. You did New York Comic Con. I've been neck deep in sinking and job searching. It's been wild. But we're back.
We are. We're here. We have three pages of notes.
3 pages of notes and 3 daes before BlizzCon. So we are going to get into it. I am Katie. I am the casual fan.
I am CJ, and I am allegedly an expert. I just follow.
By comparison, I mean.
Yeah, I just follow this stuff very closely for a while. When I get into a sport thing, which doesn't happen often, I'm just like, all right.
Oh, yeah. Overwatch League is definitely my I understand why people watch football now sport, so.
Yeah.
And then everyone has to hear about how much I love my team. And I'm like, see, Raiders fans, this is what it feels like from the other side. I'm a Broncos fan, so yelling at Raiders fans is a pastime.
I didn't know those teams had any sort of history, to be That's how much about football I don't know.
There's a capital R rivalry, and they play each other at least once a season, so it's a thing.
Yeah, it's the Yankees-Red Sox thing.
I guess.
Although maybe, is there that level of bad blood?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Not that I know of, no. And now the Raiders are trying real hard to rebrand because they, stuff and things. They're probably moving to Vegas. Anyway, wrong sport. We're here to talk about Overwatch League. Let's get into these roster moves because, my God, we're going to talk roster moves. We're going to talk announcements for the new teams that are coming in. And we're going to finish off with a little bit of World Cup predictions because that should be fun and interesting. And that is, of course, happening this weekend at BlizzCon.
I'm going to be there.
I'm not. Have fun.
It was such a struggle to get those tickets.
I know. I'm well aware. Just the avenue I attempted did not work, and then, stuff happens. But yeah, roster moves.
Yes.
We're going to start this off with my favorite team and a lot of crying.
Okay.
Soon has left the Valiant.
Soon has left the building and the country. Going back home to Paris and taking Damon with him.
I'm not surprised, given how the conversation has been, talking about how much he loves playing with Paris, playing with a French-speaking team.
Oh, I'm not surprised that he wants to do it. I'm surprised that Valiant isn't, driving a dump truck up to his apartment loaded with cash, saying, no, stay.
That makes me wonder what Valiant has in the back pocket, who else they might have recruited, because they haven't Gladiators have made announcements about new players. Valiant have not yet.
Yeah, and it does leave you wondering what they're trying to line up, or if they're kind of happy with where their team is now that they've sort of downsized a little bit, because they still do have some potent DPS weapons.
Oh, yeah. But Soon's a pretty tough loss.
Oh, yeah.
Soon is good.
Soon is very good.
Put it lightly, the sun is slightly warm. Yeah.
Yeah. Tracer's awesome, Widow's awesome, and it's going to be some big tools for France. And Valiant also lost another one of their coaches, Gunba, the Aussie, is now over to Boston.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that Boston was hard up for coaches.
Well, remember, they did lose their head coach, Krusty, during the course of Season 1, and I don't think they hired anyone to replace him. Although, considering all the behind-the-scenes drama that's been coming out about them lately, maybe they're just trying to shore up their coaching staff.
Maybe. I think the drama is something we're going to leave alone because it's still a lot of, for lack of a better term, he said, she said.
Yeah. You've got the side of the story that Huck is putting out, and then the other side sort of repped by Kalios and Neko and whoever wrote that initial article. Yeah, it's just to put it in the shortest possible version, mismanagement and general difficulty getting everyone to gel.
Which is crazy given the season they had.
Yeah, it is. And that was one of the things, reading through that article, I was really blown away because it's the fact that they're the team that got that perfect 10-0.
Which is...
Yeah.
And they prevented the Valiant from doing it, and we're the only people to prevent the Valiant from doing it.
I thought Dallas beat the Valiant.
Was it Dallas?
I thought it was. Because I remember being
No, you're
excited
right. It
about
was Dallas.
Yeah.
Blue teams. We have so many of them.
Don't forget my team in my house.
Honestly, we just need a pink team.
If they keep the runaway branding, if the Vancouver's
already dropped their colors as red and black.
I thought that was Toronto. Because Toronto and Atlanta.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Everyone's in Canada.
I'm
having a tough day, guys.
Blame
I'm having a very tough day. Woo. And we'll talk about this a little bit when we get to team announcements.
Yeah.
But I think the best article I've seen this past week was Overwatch League needs to realize that there are more team colors than red, white, and black.
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Like how last season there was a lot of blue. Mm-hmm. You had the Boston, you had Dallas, you had New York. Just a lot of predominantly blue color schemes that are difficult to tell apart sometimes.
And now everyone's all in red, and it's just like, guys, we have 0 pink teams? Someone just do the thing already?
Yeah.
It will be, I don't care what your secondary color is, it could be anything. Just do something pink. Be awesome about it.
And again, that's why I'm hoping that if Vancouver does sign Runaway, they just decide to ape their popularity as much as possible. Because Runaway was known, like, one of the things that made them famous and made them immediately stand out is they came out wearing, like, pink sweaters.
Hell yeah.
And everyone's just like, these dorks, I love them.
And no one's used pink.
Yeah.
And yep, so that's my thing. That's my little flag in the ground is I want an all-women team, which I'm sure will not happen, but I can dream. Well, and I want a pink team. And they don't have to be one and the same. More power to them if they are, but nonetheless.
Well, hey, I believe it was Washington, and I'm going to double-check that right now, but we did have our first woman coach for Overwatch League.
We did. It was DC. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, Avala, who I'm very happy to see her, on a team and all that, because from what I remember of her story, because I was following it sort of as it happened, a while ago, but she was someone who had the talent and ability to play on a pro team, and basically the boys club kind of mentality that's often around esports and specifically Korean esports. She kind of got crowded out. Like, a lot of people just were like, no, I'm not playing with this. Like...
Yeah, and that's part of why I'm so flagging the ground for more women in the league and more women's teams. Like, the women who are in the league, Geguri and Soe, and I swear to God, we had a woman on the desk once for the Puppy Bowl, and I cannot remember her name, but she was wonderful, and I want her back. And all of the incredible behind-the-scenes women, the makeup team, the production coordinators, all of them, they do such amazing work. I just really want more women in front of the camera as well, because we have so few of them. And the big names that everyone knows are Geguri and Soe, and there's nothing wrong with that because they are incredible, incredible people. But I also want them to stop being unicorns.
Yeah, it shouldn't be just 2.
Yeah.
And I feel you, and I'm happy to see Avala coming in that coaching role because, the more people you can get in and just normalize it at all strata, so people can just stop being dicks about it.
Yes.
Like, the amount of female friends I have that are like, oh, if I either don't play comp, or if I'm playing comp, I just don't use my mic at all ever, because the shit I deal with the second,
Yep.
It's...
I don't play comp, and I get that shit in quick play. And sometimes it's just like, here, I think my favorite was the Genji main making fun of me for playing Mercy, and I'm like, you can either shut up, or you can die a lot during this match, because I'm not taking care of your dumb ass.
Pro tip for life, don't insult your doctor.
Especially when they're solo healing, because no one else picked up the slack there. They had 4 DPS on that team.
In any game or any real-life situation, don't talk shit about your doctor, especially when they can hear it.
Yeah, don't mess with the person whose job is to keep you alive.
Yes.
Because they might decide to be bad at their job.
They might decide you're not worth it. Anyway.
Support main life, yo. Support main life.
All right.
Anyway, we were talking about roster moves.
Yeah, moving forward.
Are we going to try to keep this under an hour and a half? I don't know if we can.
No,
it's not going to happen. Strap in, y'all. It's going to be a long one, like they aren't always.
Here it goes, here it goes. Oh my got my phone blown up.
So, we are on to Seoul.
Yes, Seoul Dynasty with 3 player signings and a coach signing. They picked up Marvel and Michelle from Lucky Future Zenith, which is a Korean team that plays a lot in Contenders China. And how I've talked in the past about Korean teams going to other regions and taking people's lunch money, Lucky Future Zenith is a prime example of that because they've won both seasons of Contenders China and looked like they were having a blast doing it. Obviously, it's hard to tell how they're gonna play at the Overwatch League level.
Because League is a step up.
Oh yeah, definitely. And not to disparage Contenders China, because as we've seen in the World Cup stage, there are gems out there, like Guishui coming out looking like a beast.
To the point where the Overwatch League themselves are saying, hey, here's our 8 players to keep track of, and Guishui is the Chinese player from Team China, same, to keep track of.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that assessment. He's a frickin' baller. But yeah, it's hard to tell how they're gonna hang on the Overwatch League stage. Marvel didn't really blow me away on main tank, what I've seen of him.
But Seoul also picked up Fissure.
Yes. Marvel's definitely gonna... I say definitely, but I'm
most
sure...
likely.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna,
We're not authorities, we do our best.
Yes. Fisher's probably gonna be the lead. Marvel, maybe they see that intangible coachability quality in him. And maybe he could really, shine with the support of this, professional coaching staff that Seoul has kind of streamlined.
But you're not looking at him to be a starter.
No, I don't think he's going to be a starter.
They have Fissure.
Yes, because they have Fissure.
It's kind of hard to beat that,
Yeah, kind of. And I will say Michelle looked good on the flex, though. I'm excited to see that. Jexay, former main support from Element Mystic. I think I talked about them in episode 1 or episode 2.
Yeah.
Team from Korea, a lot of big potential, made some deep runs in Contenders Korea, but never really got all the way there for one reason or another. And then Why Not, former main tank player, who was a coach for O2 Ardiant, who got 2nd place in Contenders Korea Season 1. Little less impressive in Contenders Korea Season 2, but I'm excited to see what Why Not brings to the table. I can't say I followed O2 Ardiant very closely. They weren't one of the horses I had in that particular race, but they're good, and I don't think having him in there as an assistant coach is gonna hurt the team.
He's got something of a pedigree.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and there were rumors for a long time in Season 1 when Dallas was having their main tank crisis of XQC being suspended and Taimu going on to the Winston, and then they just didn't want to play Coco ever. I love Coco. I literally just re-upped my Prime sub with Coco earlier today.
And I did mine for Custa.
Hey. But yeah, there were rumors that Why Not was going to be signed as a main tank player for Dallas before they ended up going with OG. And of course, I don't know how legit all of that was, but there was a lot of talk. Because
rumors are rumors.
Yeah, rumors are rumors. Yeah. But there was a lot of talk about it.
All right. So it looks like Seoul's shaping up to be an interesting team on the tank line. Let's move on to London.
London did a little bit of shoring up this time around. Guard, also from Element Mystic. He mostly I've seen him play Tracer and Sombra, but that's an interesting pick to me considering who they have on DPS already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do that they can't. Are they maybe, having a backup in there in case,
Because Birdring was injured.
Yeah, in case Birdring slams a desk a little bit too hard again.
Was that what happened?
That's what happened, yeah.
No!
According to the man himself. That's.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, you just...
I usually just assume that they're stress injuries, that it's shoulders and rotator cuffs and whatnot.
No.
Oh, man. No. Don't do that. You need your hands.
He pulled a me.
Flip a table, regret all your life decisions.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe they're thinking about if like triple DPS sort of comes back in vogue at some point, or if someone gets injured, or you just need people doing other things because profit flexes all over the damn place.
Yeah. And we've all learned from Florida, who spent most of the season with literally no one to switch out.
It's good to have a backup.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like Guard might be that for Birdring and for Profit. Just, in case. Because again, if Birdring gets injured again, good to have someone.
It is. And so, that's kind of interesting. And I'm also interested to see how the next guy they picked up is going to do. Krillin. Krillin.
I can't help but laugh. I watched too much DBZ Abridged.
Oh my god, me too.
Help but laugh.
I'm not gonna be able to unhear Lanny Patora's Krillin voice, shot calling, guys, focus the Rhine,
just the Krillin own count every time.
Every time he gets, oh god, if they play him frequently, we're gonna have that gag on this podcast.
We're gonna have a Krillin own count.
We're gonna have a Krillin own count.
We're gonna get sued. We're not big enough to get sued. We're gonna get sued. Anyway.
I think Team 4-Star would find that funny. They seem chill as hell.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason Krillin's an interesting pickup is because he's actually from Open Division. He's from the Tier 3. He didn't come through Contenders Korea the same way that a lot of these players have. He wasn't a name in Apex the way that London's roster or Seoul's roster or most of the Koreans in the league sort of got established in those days. He's kind of an up-and-comer that is going very much from the AA minor league into the big time.
He's our Rookie of the Year.
Hypothetically. I mean, we'll see how he performs. I can't say that I followed it too closely, but I, heard that he really shone over there, so...
Should be interesting,
We will see how that shakes out.
So do you think he's going to be another backup for, looks like, the existing support line?
I think so, especially because they kind of struggled to find some stability in the support line, just as the meta changed, between Jaehong, Toby, and Gambler.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, I think he's a good backup to have and maybe sort of shape for the future, because Ana is very much in the meta right now, and that puts Jaehong in a position I don't think people in League Season 1 had many reasons to really understand why Jaehong had that, he might be the best in the world going over the course of Season 1, just because of the difficulties that Seoul had, and also Jaehong getting shunted onto heroes that he's not necessarily known for.
Yeah.
But Jaehong on Ana is something special.
So and just the meta changing everything up, especially the support meta changes.
Yeah.
Trying to make it so that not having a Mercy doesn't automatically mean that your comp is destined to die.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out in Season 2.
Yes, I will be very excited to see how that goes.
It's already been crazy just from what I've been watching in comp from our different Overwatch streamers.
Yeah, definitely. And Contenders sort of gave a little preview into the meta, but of course things are changing even further since then.
Well, and we are also seeing a little bit of it in, I cannot remember what they called it, but the exhibition match that London and Houston did.
Oh,
You know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And then the California Cup with the Shock and the Valiant, and we got to see a little bit of Valiant's new team comp there as well. Mm-hmm. So we're getting to see the new meta in action even in the off-season, and it's really shaking things up, and it looks super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, although I will say, man, I wish we had a Contender season going on right now in the off-season. I wish we did.
But for one, we're working with the World Cup, and for another, I think they're trying really hard to get all their ducks in a row before February.
Yeah.
I'm sad that our start date got pushed back, but I am not in any capacity surprised. And for the love of God, please give these teams a bye week.
Yeah. Well, they definitely changed up the schedule. They're going to each team's going to be playing, I think, 28 games over the course of the season instead of 40.
Yeah.
There's going to be a longer mid-season All-Star break.
And they switched up how the stage finals will work.
Yeah, a lot of quality of life changes that I think will make things a little less burnout-inducing.
Yeah, and the first season wasn't awful or anything, but it was definitely, they're playing multiple times a week, every week, having to prep for 30 different... no, it's too much.
Yeah, and a lot of players talked about burnout.
Yeah. So, we have league changes, we have team changes, and we have your favorite team.
Woo! Dallas!
Let's talk Dallas.
All right. So Dallas, their first pickup was not the off-tank that people have kind of been expecting them to go for. But it was a new main support, Closer, from the London Spitfire. And yes, it is Closer and not Closer.
Okay.
But...
Pronunciation. It's a thing.
But yeah, it's like Mariano Rivera, not, come over here. But... But yeah, main support player from London. In my opinion, was always a starter quality guy, but wasn't really getting used after London settled on Bedosin and Nuss being their go-to support duo. It's good to see him get on a team where he might get some playtime, but it's also going to be interesting to see how he fits into Dallas's kind of structure at present, because Harry Hook does a lot of the same things. And from the behind-the-scenes videos that Dallas did, it looked like Harry Hook had sort of been pushed to be one of Dallas's in-game leaders when they were really sort of restructuring and found their success in Stage 4.
So do you think he's set to be a backup for someone, or do you think that they're going to work him in tandem with Harry Hook?
It's hard to say. I think,
The cat has opinions.
Yes. I don't think you're going to see them take out Unko unless they have to, because Unko is nutty as hell. But I don't know, maybe Harry's not quite putting up the numbers they want to, and they're... I don't know. It beats me because I think all of these guys are starter quality and have proven that over and over again. So I don't know if it's maybe a rotation or they're going to favor one over the other. We'll see.
Whole lot of question marks for this. We have them. Don't know why they have them, but they've got them. Great.
Yeah, and, I trust an Arrow.
Yeah.
Arrow is good at his job.
All right, so let's move on to Florida.
Yes.
And Florida definitely had a purge for their team. Not to the point of Shanghai.
But damn close.
Definitely one of the bigger ones.
Yeah. Hagapun, the other support player from GC Busan, the team that would become the lion's share of the London Spitfire. He's a damn good Zen. He's starter quality all the way. And I'm very happy to see him on this team's support line, because the Mayhem support line was really one of their weaker
biggest
spots.
problems.
Yeah. So they pick up Chris as well. Chris is another Korean support player. He actually came up through Meta Athena, where we get Libero and Saya player and Awesome Guy as well. Meta Athena was one of the most fun teams to watch back in the day, by the way. They would come up with these weird, inventive strats and creative use of, May boosts to come from, these bizarre-ass angles. One thing I remember, and I was rewatching it earlier today, was they had a game against Lunatic High, the team that would become Seoul. Mm-hmm. And they're playing on Dorado. And they're on attack, they go up the stairs and pretty much just ignore the bridge entirely, go to that little U-bend high ground in the back, do a May wall at the door, and hover around the map geometry clean to the other side of that courtyard and swing in from the far side.
What?
It was one of the most insane things I've ever seen. And you could hear the confusion in Monty and Doa's voice, and it's just, they're gonna boost on top of the... Oh, I love you, Meta Athena.
Well, you did say Libero and Saya player, so...
Yeah. Chris is another good pickup. Does a lot of Mercy and Lucio, but he is a hand on Zen if, for whatever reason, they have Hagapun doing something else. And he's a veteran. He's someone who's been in this game a very long time.
So we're looking at our new support line there.
Yes, and you're pretty damn solid with that, I think.
All right.
I'm going to get to this one in a second, but Swan, main tank from NRG Esports. He's from Contenders NA. Was one of the bright spots on NRG when they kind of struggled in Season 1, and continued to be a bright spot when they were a little when they were having a little less difficulty in Contenders Season 2. He can hang with the main tanks in Contenders NA, and that's a good sign because Contenders NA is like, let's just import some of the best tank players we can. A lot of them have like really stellar Korean main tanks.
So we're looking at a new main tank or a new backup.
He's a solid pickup that I think that honestly might be, a starter over Awesome Guy in my opinion.
Really?
At the very least, I would kind of rate him a little more highly.
So who do you think our shot caller on this new team is then?
That's hard to say.
You need to see how they work together.
Yeah, I need to see how they work together. I think Hagapun did a lot of the shot calling for GC Busan back in the day. Or at least it looked that way from the Apex open mic stuff, which was this video series they used to produce showing like the behind the scenes of the players like talking and going through matches.
And support shot calling is not unheard of.
No, not
common,
at all.
but not unheard of.
Well, it used to be the way you did things as well.
Really? I'd always heard it as main tank.
Main tank, early on was more supports than main tank, but it sort of shifted over.
Okay.
Apply, this is an interesting one for me. Apply is interesting because he is one of the 2 players that has been signed to a 2-way contract between an Overwatch League team and their academy team.
Huh.
Yes. He was one of the bright spots on Mayhem Academy, which has always had some difficulty, and has been consistently one of the impressive parts of that roster. And basically the way this works is he's going to continue to play for Mayhem Academy and can continue to do so, as long as he's signed. But he can be called up for 2 Overwatch League games per stage.
Huh.
So they've got a ringer that they can call in if they either want to get him used to the big stage, or if they see something that they can slot him in against a team where him and his style of play would be advantageous.
Or if they need a fill-in if someone gets injured. Or...
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, I was a little worried when you said it could go both ways. Like, okay, no, he's going to get burned out real quick. But if it's only 2 games per stage, that's a good way to do things.
They have the option to. Doesn't mean they're going to. Yeah.
So let's talk about this last one that you have on the list here, who I keep misreading is BBQ, and that's not correct.
No. He is not
barbecue.
He is not the Korean barbecue. He is BQB. Former DPS player from X6 Gaming. Champion,
all of the gamings.
Many gamings. Very
so
good.
Much gamings.
English strong.
400 gamings.
Yeah, 400 gamings. X400 gamings.
Then.
So X6 Gamings. God damn it.
That's what it is now.
X6 Gaming.
Oh no, it's gamings now.
No, I'm fighting this. X6 Gaming. Champions of Contenders Korea Season 1 and semi-finalist for Season 2. He is a very good Sombra, a good Tracer, and he can also pull out the Junkrat. Here's the thing, though. While he did well for X6 in Season 1, they didn't use him at all in Season 2 for 2 reasons, which is the first, he didn't boost himself, but he apparently promoted boosting services in some capacity.
No. And that's not as big a thing in the North American gaming world, but in Korea, it's like the #1 sin. Yeah. You don't do that.
In high-level, like, Korean ladder, you will hear complaints about boosting the way that people in NA complain about, like, one-tricks.
Or throwing,
yeah.
Because it essentially is throwing. You're playing at a level that you shouldn't be because someone else has leveled you up.
Yeah, boosting is paying for someone to, level up your account way past your skill level, or if you just don't feel like grinding, and then just giving you the account back. And it kind of ruins people's games, like you said, because you're playing at a level that you shouldn't be in a competitive game like Overwatch.
And you can't keep up, and your team suffers for it.
Exactly. And he would not be the first person sort of involved in boosting to be in the Overwatch League. Sato was kind of Philly Fusion was apparently like the El Chapo of boosting.
Oh my god.
And he got a 30-game suspension going into the league because of it. OG also did some boosting, though obviously a much lesser degree, and had a 3 or 4 game suspension.
A number of players across multiple teams got hit for boosting. Honestly, and again, this is coming from the American side of things, I would rather see them get hit for boosting than to see them do things like racism. Or like if they're gonna do something dumb and get in trouble, or if they're gonna do something dumb at all, like I feel like boosting is a lesser sin than being a horrifying human being.
Yeah, you know? It's one of those things that definitely you should be suspended and punished for. Me personally, I don't think it's the worst crime someone can commit. Mayhem's head coach Ryder disagrees with that assessment, though. He's welcome to. He went on Twitter to express how unhappy he was that BQB got signed, and said something along the lines of, I want to do as much good for professional gaming as, like, this guy has done harm. Like, something like that. It was, like, full-on, like, full-on, we do not forgive and we do not forget coming out of this guy, and it's like...
And he's going to be coaching this guy.
Yeah, he's the coach, yeah.
That's going to lead to some interesting behind the scenes.
Yeah, and... We'll see how that plays out.
See, that's worrying. And, like, I get it that you want to make sure from the get-go, like, this is my opinion on this thing, I don't condone it. But also, as the coach for this team who has just signed this player that you're going to be coaching...
The organization signed the team.
Yes.
The coach can give their opinion and say who they want and all that.
Yeah.
But if the general manager has a different idea... They don't necessarily need to take the coach's opinion.
Oh, no, I know. But you maybe don't want to publicly lambast a new player when you're going to be coaching them through the season. And, I understand having strong opinions, and anyone who follows my Twitter is well aware of that. There is a point...
Shout out to that Agretzko meme for a while back, and if you comb through her Twitter, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I don't think I ever actually posted that
really?
one. No.
Oh, okay.
No, that was something that I had second thoughts because...
That joke stays inside the box.
Like, I had second thoughts because there's a point where you hit that line of professionalism.
Yeah.
And you have to know where it is and know whether or not you're willing to step over it. And in my opinion, this is a step over the line of professionalism. You are a coach, you are going to be coaching this player, and you've made it public knowledge that he's not welcome. Like, that's a problem.
And the other problem here is, why would the org sign someone who the head coach is so vehemently against being involved?
Aren't we going to talk about Atlanta soon? Like, in terms of people that you probably shouldn't sign.
In that case, the coach and the player actually know each other previously.
Which might also be a problem.
We'll go in. We'll
get to Atlanta.
We'll go into that.
God bless Atlanta. We'll get to them. Atlanta, the city, I fully support you. Atlanta, your team. We're going to have a conversation.
Atlanta has 2 players with a reputation for being toxic as hell.
God bless them. Anyway, but yeah, even if there's issues on the back end, you don't want to make them public. You're airing your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have your opinions, absolutely, but again, you got to figure out where that professionalism line is, how this is going to affect your career, how this is going to affect the members of the team. Even if you're just not happy with one of them, how does this affect everyone else? How does this affect the cohesiveness, the play style? Is this new team member going to get the right coaching, the amount of coaching that they need? Are you able to approach it without a bias?
Yeah.
And you've made it very clear that answer is no, and that's going to have some ripple effects. Like, such a bad decision on a professional level. Like, stop it.
It's certainly a thing. It certainly is a thing.
I have to wonder what the NDAs in Overwatch League look like. if you can say things like this and not have any repercussions.
Well, the player signing is public, and all it is a reaction to the signing.
Yeah.
I don't think he's breaking any rules, though I agree that it's not exactly a classy move, to say the least.
It's not. And honestly, we can sit here and have opinions about this because neither of us are professionally involved in Overwatch League. But if one of us were at this point, it would have to be... We wouldn't be able to talk about it.
Yeah,
It would be a very bad idea to try to talk about behind-the-scenes stuff or to give an opinion on something that has to do with the team that we would hypothetically be working with.
A lot of the analysts and desk talent do stuff like this, though.
Yeah, but analysts and desk talent aren't beholden to any specific teams.
Yeah.
They're not sponsored by the Fusion or the Valiant or the whatever. They are their own
little entity that is both related to but not beholden to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag professionalism. Get some. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, I'm allowed to have opinions on this, and I think that was a bad decision.
You went on a roll there.
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And that's why you guys listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Those anyway, of you that do.
Speaking of the Fusion.
Yes.
Speaking of these guys.
Hopping on that Segway and riding over to Philadelphia. Fusion has, much like Apply, they did a two-way contract with Elk, one of the support players from Fusion University, who have been so dominant in Contenders NA that it's kind of not fair.
Is it the same contract with 2 games per stage?
As far as I know, it's the same two-way thing. Yeah.
Okay.
He's played Lucio and Ana a lot, so it'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits into things with such an established support duo that has had so much time to build up synergy the way that Boombox and Neptuno have.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie.
And we'll see how the meta changes affect that as well.
I won't lie to you. I had a brain fart, and I had to restructure that sentence like 3 times because I was trying to remember Neptuno's name.
I don't expect you to know everyone on every team, dear God, especially now that we're playing 52 pickup with a roster.
Yeah, but it's still the reason I'm here.
And also the reason we have notes.
Yes. I'm the researcher.
You are. You are. I'm the pretty face. Which, given that this is a podcast, makes it kind of useless.
Well, you're also here to enable my rambling, to ask the layman questions that I might not think to answer, because I just assume people know this shit.
Yeah. So what's a support main? No.
Yeah. So, yeah. Elk, we will quite possibly be seeing him show up in Fusion's games at some point during Season 2. We'll see how, and see where they kind of decide to fit him in. The other roster move they made is they have traded Hotba over to Guangzhou.
I still can't pronounce that. I just see how it's spelled, and I'm like, yep, that's a word.
That's my best attempt, and if I have screwed that up horribly...
I'm sure someone will let us know.
I'm sure they will, and I'm sorry. I'm trying.
I'm not even trying. You're doing better than I am.
You're just like, you'll let me say it.
One of those Chinese teams. There's like 3 of them. I can't say any of them except for Shanghai.
I'm the bulletproof vest for the flack from this.
You are. I can only do Shanghai because it's spelled the way it sounds. I'm fluent in French, all right. That's as good as that gets.
Is it like actual French or bad French, like Québécois?
It's like 8 years of school French. It was enough to get me around Paris.
Fair enough. So it's probably not Québécois French.
No. Yeah.
No. So yeah, I was.
Hotba.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see him go, since I thought they'd kind of found a niche for him towards the end of the season when they started pulling out those weird comps where he's on Tracer, and then it seemed like they had found a nice little spot for him, but I also think Poco's probably the better starter to have in that case, so I'm not super surprised to see it happen.
And we don't know if Philadelphia is bringing in someone else to take his place.
I don't think... Well, yeah, I thought you were going to say bringing in someone else, like, trading her in. I'm like, I don't think that's happening.
In general, I don't think Philadelphia... Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Philadelphia has made any announcements about who they're bringing in.
not
We've had
so
releases,
far. Yeah.
but Elk. But aside from that,
not so far as I know.
Okay.
So
correct me if I'm wrong. I say, forgetting our conversation from 5 minutes ago. This is why we have notes, you guys.
Yeah, this is and.
We'll see what Philly chooses to do, and if they bring in anyone under a full contract instead of the provisional academy contract.
Yeah, they've kept their team on, and they have a real reason to be happy with the team that they have. They've developed a really sort of unique, scrappy play style.
Yeah.
They've got good people at every position, and I think they just need to keep fine-tuning it. I think they've got the pieces they need.
And they got the hang on the new meta for the championship game. And now that the meta shifted again, we'll see how well they adapt.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the team that I can pronounce.
Yes.
Shanghai. Shanghai, recovering from the Red Wedding.
Yes.
Jeez.
The blood of dragons has spilled and the Koreans have come. They have... every player that Shanghai has just brought in, they're all Korean players. Ding, Luffy, Koma, and Youngjin from Kongdu Panthera, team that came in second place in Korean Contenders Season 2.
And we've talked about them a little bit on previous episodes.
Yes. DM from Lucky Future Zenith, and Toronto Esports Diva player, Guardian.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they've definitely really shored themselves up, especially in sort of the off-tank department, because Guardian is a very good diva and can flex onto Zarya. And Youngjin, in the past season, mostly played Roadhog and Brigitte.
Interesting. That's a combination.
Yeah, Shanghai Dragon team, I think if they're kind of rebuilding their core around these players that they've imported from Kongdu Panthera, they're going to be moving to a more tank-heavy style, which kind of suits the meta that's happening right now.
Oh, but it's interesting that you would bring up another off-tank player when you have Geggery.
But if you're going for a triple or quad tank type of play, you need someone in there, and then Youngjin's also a very good Brigitte. And he's also a very specific kind of off-tank. He's good at getting kills, and the way Jane put it is he's a sneaky asshole. He comes in from weird angles, and then suddenly someone's dead. Or
it's a good way to tank.
Yeah, or comes in from a weird angle, and then suddenly you get shield bashed in the middle of your tack visor.
And then you're done. There goes your ult.
Yeah. Ding.
So that should be interesting.
Yeah, Ding, DM, they're DPS players. Luffy and Koma are support, so you've got your rebuilt support line to sort of cover up, because a lot like Mayhem, Shanghai support line was always kind of one of their weakest attributes. I remember seeing in Twitch chat, and I felt bad for laughing at it, but someone started referring to free feel as free kill.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And I'm like, that's brutal, I can't argue with it, but you're a dick.
Like, they're not bad players, but that team never clicked.
It never clicked, and also I just don't think a lot of them were Overwatch League ready.
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of them weren't just at the level they needed to be at, and the lack of synergy and difficulty with coaching just only exacerbated that.
And then language differences as well, which can make or break a team depending on whether or not you have someone who is fluent in both and can translate on the fly.
Although the support line was getting farmed even before they brought in the Korean players.
Yeah.
Although part of that was apparently like U4 had told like the tank to play like a super hyper aggressive, always push forward style.
Oof.
And just basically not to peel almost. And it's like, I am all for aggro.
Peel.
Okay, peel is basically going back to help your squishier players in a fight. So
what you should do if your support players are getting farmed.
Yeah. Basically, you know, if you'll see a lot of the time that in a game when a support gets attacked, they'll sort of pocket each other. They'll stop worrying about the front, pocket each other to keep each other alive. That's peel, basically. You're coming back to help survive the fight. And then when the rest of the team comes in to save the day, that is also peel.
Yeah. Because if your support line goes down, you're hosed.
Yes.
Because they can't keep anyone up. And that's...
Unless you just do a deadlift through that fight, but you shouldn't count on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's important, so help your support mains because they will keep you from dying if they're doing their job.
And Luffy and Koma have been in like the top tier of Korean Overwatch for a very long time. They can do their jobs.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see if Shanghai manages to rise from the ashes, as it were, from the single worst professional sports season win-loss history. Like, it used to be that the Cleveland Browns and their 0-16 or whatever it was kind of the joke, and now it's like, well, the Browns have been winning a few games, but, Shanghai, honey.
And honestly, this is a massive upgrade in firepower.
Yeah.
Like, this is huge. And part of me is kind of like, I know in the past that I've advocated of, like, that teams representing cities don't necessarily need to, farm from those cities, which is like esports. I think a lot of the time when Overwatch adopted this model and people started getting signed, like I remember a lot of EU fans were like, but there's no one even from Europe on London. And that's okay.
It does suck when you only have one team for your entire continent.
Exactly.
And then there's no one there. And, North American fans, we kind of don't care because we're used to our pro sports teams. Like, half the Lakers aren't from Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I'm a Yankees fan. You think all those guys are from New York? That ain't a thing.
No, people move around all the time. Yeah. And so we're kind of used to like, all right, well, there's no one from this actual city on this team. Well, okay, whatever. We still have 90% of the teams are from American cities or named for American cities. So we're just kind of used to it. But you have one team for your entire continent and there's no one from your continent on your team. I get that.
Yeah, and Shanghai, they were kind of the standard bearers of Chinese Overwatch, and whether that they were a good or bad representation, you can debate that. But it's kind of like, they only got one Chinese player left. It's kind of feels like you're losing something, to me at least.
A little bit, yeah, but it'll be nice to have them not be kicked around.
It's true.
You gotta feel bad for Florida and for Shanghai because most of the time you go up against them and it's like, all right, well, it's an easy win for my team. Let's go. And you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, you would hope that everyone at least has a reasonable chance.
Yeah.
And I think with the lineup they have, with the 3 that they saved, and, with the additions from Kongdu and Lucky Future and Toronto Esports, this team can fight.
Lucky Future Zenith sounds like a Jaeger name.
It really does.
It's very Pacific Rim, and I love it.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, they all kind of do, but specifically Lucky Future Zenith.
You should see some of the team names in Chinese Overwatch because they are spectacular. And I say that, like, both for amusement value and also because some of them are legit cool. I mean,
it's either a Jaeger name or a thoroughbred racehorse name. Because thoroughbred racehorses have to have very specific names, and they cannot have been reused by any other horse ever.
Yeah.
So I saw someone describe it as like thoroughbred shitpost bingo or something like that to get a name that works. And then someone's like, you should name a horse thoroughbred shitpost bingo. It is a new name. It's not taken.
So
Are we gonna do a little segment now about like team names?
Some of the highlights from Chinese contenders: Lucky Future Zenith with their 19-1 map record.
Jeez.
Next best was 14-6 T1W Esports.
All right.
Third was the Moss 7 Club.
What? Yeah. That sounds like it should be on ABC Family on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Oh, I'm sorry. Freeform on Sunday mornings.
Lingen Esports.
I feel like any team that ends in esports isn't just as...
Yeah, but the other thing is they've incorporated like both of the common ways to misspell esports wrong. Where like esports, it's ESPORTS, and some people will like add the dash or capitalize the S, and this one does both.
Esports.
Team CC, which is the academy team for Shanghai Dragons, middle of the pack at 10-1-9.
So they've got a better record than the Shanghai Dragons.
They have won things, yes.
Ouch. Oh, man. It's so easy to make these jokes. It's like you feel bad.
A little bit.
Because you feel really bad for the Dragons. And honestly, the second they signed Gregory, I was like, all right, I'm in. Mm-hmm. Hello, only woman player in the league. I'm in. Mm-hmm. I am now a Shanghai fan.
Yes.
Oh, being a Shanghai fan is tough.
It is. It's brutal.
Oh. And every Cleveland Browns fan out there is just laughing.
Now you know. Now you know what it's like to live in my brain.
Oh, I've been a Broncos fan and a Rockies fan for years. I know.
All right. Next is LGD Gaming, which is a pretty standard esports name, I feel.
Yeah.
But we're back to the fucking awesome Hero Taciturn Panther.
What? That one does feel like purebred shitpost bingo.
That's a Jaeger. Right
that doesn't have the level of cohesion needed for a Jaeger, all right?
It sounded like you named your team by whipping a dictionary at a passing helicopter.
Oh, that's an image. Also, someone probably died as a result of that. Don't throw things at helicopters.
No, don't.
They will be thrown back at you with speed.
Dude, right, just caught whatever bits floated down.
One more, and then we gotta move on.
Well, then I'll just skip to the other best one. Legend Young Beyond.
What?
And then 666 Legend as well.
I have to say Lucky Future Zenith is the best.
Hero Taciturn Panther.
Lucky Future Zenith.
Like, I'm actually tearing up a little bit from laughing at Hero Taciturn Panther.
They're such good names.
If you're out there making a team right now, look to their example. They might have been 10-10, dead center of the pack, but they are who you need to be.
Thoroughbred shitpost bingo. Do it.
That's a new team name, I call it.
No, I think that's someone's horse's name at this point. That post has made the rounds.
I don't care. Give me a horse name and a team name. I don't think
you can actually put shitpost in a team name. Like, I feel like there is some regulation that is against.
It won't be like in Overwatch League, but goddamn it, I'm gonna do it.
Point. Have fun.
All right.
Anyway, we're gonna move on to my other favorite. I say that like I don't have like 4 of them. Gladiators.
Yes.
Gladiators had a nice little reveal video, and I love that it was somewhere in Burbank. Like, we all don't know that GameStop is in the mall.
Yeah.
Like, turn the other corner. They just opened a world market.
Yes. So, yeah. This is where the rest of Kongdu Panthera went.
Okay.
They picked up Roar, main tank player. I was wrong about Panker. Roar, honestly, I might rate him a little more highly, so I don't think it's a bad pick. Roar's been in top-tier Korean Overwatch for a really long time. Something you'll hear me keep repeating about the Korean players they brought in.
It's almost like there's a pattern.
And also Decay, who is a flex DPS who can also pull out a pretty sick Zarya out of his back pocket. There was apparently a bidding war for him.
Really?
Yeah. And
is this confirmed, or is this the rumor mill?
Rumor mill, but some of the players have commented that apparently it's been thrown around a lot.
Okay, bidding war between Gladiators and whom?
A bunch of people. A lot of people
really?
wanted Decay. And the rumor is he got a 300k contract. That's the rumor. I don't know if that's true, and some people have been skeptical about that, including OG from The Fuel, but...
I feel like that's something that you don't make public even if it leaks. Like, you don't confirm salaries for that.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with that, although then you look at, baseball player salaries of,
Yeah.
7 figures a year, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is... Man, I wish I was a good Overwatch player.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
Solve the student loan problems real quick.
Oh, God, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Before I go and lament the fact that I'm out of alcohol right now.
Day drinking.
Yes.
We're not actually day drinking. I've got my Starbucks, you've got your water.
Yes.
Doing better than me right now. So what does the flex tank situation look like for the Gladiators?
They still have Bishu and Void.
Okay, I don't know why I was They dropped both their mains.
Yeah.
That's right. Fissure
Flex,
and I remix.
Flex Tank has never been their problem. They got some
Okay.
boss ass dudes in that role right now. Like,
Okay.
So Roar is a great pickup for main tank. That's definitely gonna give the team a very seasoned perspective. Someone who can play at a very high level and has done so for a long time. Decay has just shined at every opportunity.
So Roar is their new Fissure then.
Yeah, this
basically.
is some big firepower that they've added on. And obviously I'm not going to, make a comparison between Fissure and Roar because I want to let them fight.
Yeah, no. It's going to be fun the first
Yes.
time we get Soul against the
Yes.
Gladiators. And the next battle for LA is going to be wild.
Also, I like that Fissure is slowly amassing a, list of teams to make jealous for trading me. Like,
Yep.
because I still remember after the first game between London and Gladiators, after Fissure just raffle stomped his whole team. On a stream, he did the little phone sign, "Hello, it's London. Can we have Fissure back?" Like, I love.
And I was worried about Gladiators, but if Roar is as good as you say he is, that'll
Roar's a beast. Roar's a
that
beast.
helps. I've still got my Bishu Bomb shirt, so
Yes.
Yep.
They got Bishu, they got Void, they have Roar, and then they've also got Decay now. So if they wanted to, they could run Quad Tank very competently and then swap off it because Decay can do a lot of DPS.
Yeah. And Roar is real good for someone whose team is a lion.
Yes, it's fitting. It
It
is.
is. It
I didn't
is.
think about that until now, but you're right.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I ended up seeing it in writing and going, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Boston
moving
Uprising
on.
has
Yep.
2 new signings. New main tank player, Axiom from Toronto Esports. He played well. He never set the world on fire for me personally, but competent main tank play. And also, if Gamsu still kind of struggles with picking up Reinhardt, right there you've got someone who can step into that role and still play the Winston competently.
Okay.
And the other pickup they had was Color Hex, who is the first player we've had come in through Pacific Oceanic contenders.
Interesting.
He is also the second Aussie in the OWL.
Custa's no longer alone.
Yes. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that happens.
I'm just interested to see the behind-the-scenes Vegemite party after their first match. There has legit been a Vegemite party with Custa at one point. A bunch of Australian fans brought him a jar. I guess he was beside himself.
I'm sure there was, and I remember on stream when he was on Dallas that he said if Dallas wins the championship, he's going to do a shoey.
People are still asking for that, and I feel like that's not something that's going to happen in league capacity. And Twitch definitely
They're
has
not going to
rules.
let him do it with a beer. They're not going to let him do it proper, but you do know what a shoey is.
Oh, I am well aware of what a shoey is.
Google it.
Yep, that's not something we're going to talk about on here. That's a thing.
Google it.
Yeah.
NYXL has made their first pickup. Flower / Nanohana. I don't know which one he's going by at this point. He is now on their team. They now have an even more absurd wealth of really good DPS players.
God damn it, NYXL.
Yeah. And again, Flower, if he can get back to the... He'd been sort of dealing with a wrist injury, which explains some of the performance drop-off when he's playing in contenders. But you've got Flower, Pine, Libero, Sabiel B.
God.
That is horrifying.
And let's be real, Jonak is also kind of a DPS.
Yes, and Jonak.
Jonak is terrifying.
Yeah. No word on whether or not they're bringing up Nene, but if they do, that's another guy who can go on DPS, even if they're playing him primarily as an off-tank.
Yeah. So before we move on to our live read, and before we move on to our expansion teams and our rosters and our sure-to-be-long conversation about Atlanta, if you had to put together a 6-man team with the definitive person for each role, who would it be?
Oh.
You put Jonak in as your Zenyatta, as your off-support. I'd put in Neptuno as our Mercy.
Yeah, but Mercy doesn't really get played much anymore.
Still, I feel like even with the shift in the meta, Neptuno on Mercy is a force to be reckoned with. There's some contention for your main tank. I'd look at Fissure, but...
Personally, I would go with Fissure.
And then for Sniper, for me, either Surefour Soon or Saya Player. Look at the S's.
You're not wrong.
Off tank, I'd put Geggery. I'm absolutely biased, but she is amazing.
Oh, no, and I think she deserves to be on there, regardless of what Thorin said about her stats.
She had really good stats on a team that lost every single match.
He said his argument was at no point was she the best off tank or even like one of the top 3 in Overwatch League. Look at her statistics, and my response to that is you're playing with a team that dies at a light breeze, and you're still putting up like league average numbers.
Yeah.
If you are playing at least competently in a team that is significantly less than competent, that says a lot of good things about your ability to play.
You're never going to be top 3 when your team is 0 and everything.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way. So statistics, like anything, can be manipulated, and context is very important.
Yeah.
And that's all statistics, not just Overwatch League.
Yeah. You need very true. You need your stats in context. I would also put Note in contention for that spot from Boston. He's a beast. Space, definitely, from LA.
Space!
Yes.
That's just for always and forever, that
he's
Tim
awesome.
Curry. Yep.
Well, for me, it's Space Core from Portal. But
Want to go to space.
Space. Space.
There's this lovely clip of Tim Curry just leaning back and space! Like, oh my god.
Tim Curry's a treasure.
So who's our other DPS then? If we're not running a sniper combo, we have 2 DPS spots open.
Probably Prophet.
Yeah?
Because Prophet can do everything and do it all really well. And like Prophet or Libero, because they can just do all of the things and they're good at all of the things.
Dante.
I like Dante a lot, but I feel like he's mostly Tracer Sombra.
Alright.
And if I was going for that, I would probably go for like Sabiel B over Dante if I wanted like a Tracer specialist.
And what's interesting is that what we've pulled from here leaves out a lot of most of the teams. But they're also mostly teams that have been wildly successful.
Yes. Yeah, it's true.
So, again, we can pull who we think are the best players to go on a team, but that says absolutely nothing about team comp.
Yeah, and whether or not they'll gel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, interesting little thought exercise.
It is.
I like that. That was fun.
Shall we go into our...
We shall. Before we move on to, again, having what is going to be a long, fun, and interesting conversation about expansion rosters and Atlanta. I know we keep teasing that, but Atlanta. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our sponsor. This podcast, as always, is sponsored by Fred's BS, Breads and Spreads by Fred. Fred's BS is an LA local one-man baked goods business that offers unique flavors in small batches. Whether you're looking for homemade jams, brownies, blondies, or brown sugar buddies, the best cookies you've ever had, Fred's BS can provide. All products are made in small batches with fresh ingredients, nothing is ever frozen, and Fred provides a plethora of flavors that can't be found in stores, like the aforementioned brown sugar buddies or his strawberry peach paradise sunrise jam. Also, if you're LA local, you can choose pickup instead of delivery and get your goods even sooner. Head over to fredsbs.com and use coupon code ONTHEPOINT for 20% off your entire order. That's fredsbs.com, FREDSBS.com, and coupon code ONTHEPOINT. Fred's BS. Treat yourself because you deserve it.
Woo!
Honest to God, some of the best damn cookies I've ever had
in
my life.
We got a stack of them, like, just sitting next to the mic, and I can't wait to crack into those.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to...
And if you're in the mood for a very rich dessert, which I recommend because it's wonderful, get cookies, get jam, doesn't matter which flavor, just get jam, get brownies, make a cookie jam brownie sandwich. It's unbelievably good.
We call it the diabetic shock.
Yeah. We call it I had 2 bites of it and my milk is gone. I need to go get more milk. This is such a rich dessert.
Turns to cement in your mouth, it sounds like.
But it's so good. It's one of those desserts where it's like, this is wonderful. Yeah, Fred's BS. Do the thing, get the stuff. It's so good, you guys.
Yes.
I wish we could show you, but this is a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Expansion time.
We've been waiting. We've been waiting so long.
We have. Let's talk about Toronto.
All right, Toronto, the Toronto Defiant, which solid name. Although I wish their color scheme was a little more original.
I wish they weren't Team Valor.
Yeah,
if anyone plays
Atlanta's
Pokemon,
Team Valor.
Atlanta's Team Valor. That's right. Toronto is red and black.
Yeah. The Toronto touchdown, the TD. Like.
I don't. Why is their logo their initials? I'm not.
I mean,
Mayhem can get away with it because they have that awesome balm and palm tree frame. Like, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But and who else has their initials? The San Francisco does, but they've also got that bridge design. Mm-hmm. Like, every other team that has their initial as something has some sort of design element around it. Philly's got the P, but also the nuclear bit. Like,
I do kind of like how simple the Defiance logo is.
I feel like it's a whole lot of nothing.
You can make it, but it works for me.
I'm glad it works for you. For me, I want the logo to tell me something about the team, and I also feel like that's why I keep running against a wall for Boston and for NYXL.
Yeah. Because
the logo design is a whole... Like, NYXL definitely has some design to it, but it's still just kind of like, this is a lot of bars and squares. Yeah. Cool. And then Boston is, again, just their letters. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where if you don't have a mascot type of thing, at least give me something in the visual design. Like, again, San Francisco gives you a bridge, and Philadelphia gives you the atom-looking thing. But
I'm sorry, I just pictured like an Overwatch League team coming out with Gritty.
God bless the Flyers. They have given us so much.
And they're even owned by
Philadelphia. Yep. Yeah,
oh my god, I just want to see Fraggy come out in the Gritty suit. Like,
there was someone at the Halloween party I was at earlier this week dressed as Gritty, and it was... I basically walked in, pointed at him, and yelled, and he was like, "You get it!" And I'm like, "Yes, I get it! You're the terror monster!" I just...
the thing they apparently unearthed while building the stadium.
Yes.
This eldritch monstrosity that just really likes hockey.
We're doing a lot of professional sports talk.
We are.
Anyway. But yeah, point being,
Toronto.
if you have a name that doesn't evoke some kind of mascot, at least give me some sort of design in your logo.
I like it.
Again, it's a good thing to slap on a hat or a polo shirt, but it tells me nothing. Yeah. It tells me that they didn't know what they wanted to go with as a mascot or a design, and so they just went with a nice font.
So they just gave you the big D.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, it's your... okay. Mm. And your colors are red and black, like everyone else. And I'm not impressed with the design for Toronto. And this is partially from being a Valiant and Gladiators fan and having everything I want from them. And Houston's design, Dallas's design. There are so many. Shanghai's design. Yeah. There are so many that have such great design. And again, Florida is one of my favorites.
Florida has a great logo. But their actual color scheme
is the same as Shanghai.
No, it's McDonald's. Just...
There was at one point, and it has long since died, but there was at one point a rumor that Mayhem was going to change their colors to pink and blue, and I was 1,000% behind that. But of course it was just a rumor, and it doesn't seem to be a thing that's happening, and such is life. But still, the balm and palm tree design is so striking and so good.
Yeah,
and again, they've got a big M in the middle of it, but it's like, I have no problem with your letters as long as you give me something else to go on. But these teams have given me nothing else to go on. Boston and, again, NYXL, we have something else to go on, but it's geometry. Nice. But, I get you. I'm super not impressed.
I get you. I do. Anyway, the Toronto Defiant lineup.
Yeah. what we're actually here for.
The first two announced were Neko and Envy. Neko, formerly of the Boston Uprising, and Envy, formerly of the Los Angeles Valiant.
Mm-hmm.
Envy, after he was dropped, went into Korean Contenders and started playing for Meta Bellum, Meta Athena's sister team. And honestly, he looked better than he had in a while for playing in Overwatch League. I think he needed the reset.
Yeah.
And he just looked great. He looked like his old self, the way he did with Immortals prior to the Overwatch League. And I think he's a great off-tank that you can throw on there. Neko, solid support, great Zenyatta. I haven't really seen too much of him other than the Zen, really. But he does that very well, and I think he's a good addition to the team, like a good starting block. Lycan, formerly known as Yakpung, is going to be their main tank. Or one of them. We don't know if they're going to continue to announce more people. And given our luck, and I'm going to go check the subreddit right now because of it.
But I mean, right now, they've only announced 6 people. Mm. And you need to have, at the Overwatch implemented a new... Yeah. Yep. We have at least 8 rule. So we have at least 2 more players coming on here. Mm-hmm. Because, again, nobody wants a mayhem situation.
Yes.
So who else have we got?
Stellar and Ivy, they are from O2 Ardiant, same as Lycan. They're all from the same former organization. Ivy is mostly projectile, but can also kind of play Tracer, whereas Stellar is mostly Tracer Sombra, but can also break out a little bit of projectile.
So it sounds like we are going to need a third DPS here to kind of round things out.
Most likely. If they end up getting the other DPS player from O2 Ardiant, Climax, that would be solid.
Hey.
But and then they also have Aid, who played for GGEA, Houston's academy team, until their implosion. And also for Rock's Orcas, the same team that Gigery came up through.
Okay. Aid is such a great name for a support main.
It is.
That's perfect.
It is.
That's perfect.
Much like Arc and Anemo, because Anemo makes you think of like Animus, like life, and Arc, saving life, Noah's Ark. I really dug that.
I love it.
Yeah. And a lot of this is an interesting one for me because Stellar has, ironically, lived up to that name.
Good.
Envy looks awesome. I think Neko's a good pickup. The other 3 I'm not quite as sure about. Like, they've been competent but not great. And so it makes me wonder what maybe they saw in the trials that I maybe didn't. Watching contenders in that to see when they get picked up because at present this team's firepower seems a little bit lacking to me.
Well, and again, they need to sign at least 2 more people. So It's possible that they have not revealed them yet or they haven't been able to sign them yet. It's also possible that who we have revealed now were not their first choice, that they lost bidding wars
maybe
for
they
other
were in that
people
bidding war for
to
the
more
cat.
established teams.
Yeah.
We don't know. We have no idea. This is a whole lot of throwing things at the wall, and we'll have no idea what sticks because non-disclosure agreements are a thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't expect to ever have answers for that, but they will have to sign at least 2 more people.
And maybe they'll be more competitive than I'm thinking. Maybe I'm, underrating them. It's entirely possible.
Again, we had that nice little thought exercise with a whole bunch of superstars, and, well, half of them were from teams that were from the bottom half of the season, so... Mm-hmm.
As their head coach, Toronto has signed Bishop, who has been in Overwatch again, like I've been saying since pretty much the very beginning. He was the coach for Cloud9, the team that we got like Surefour and a couple other big name players who are still rocking around in the T2 scene. Zephyr was on there for a while.
The team best known for not staying on the payload.
Yeah. It's infamous.
Is this a C9?
And they like were consistently like able to be one of the better teams in NA. It's just aside from the early days where they were like second to Envious, they never really quite hit that top tier status again. And Bishop, after coaching them, ended up coaching for the London Spitfire until having to leave midway through the season.
Okay.
And I believe he said on the Toronto stream that he ended up quitting to go back home because his mother had been diagnosed with cancer.
It's a good reason to quit.
It's a very good reason to quit.
Yeah.
And he is now back, now coaching Toronto. And I think that, and I'm of two minds of this, which is one, he's someone who's been around for a very long time and can, has at least one team that he coached to be very successful. And after he left is kind of when London had that weird period of just kind of falling apart. Even if...
I mean, they came back.
Yeah, and even then when he was in charge, they kind of had those weird moments where they would lose to teams that they would struggle against, teams that on paper they should have just stopped.
But again, we've had a lot of conversations here about this looks good on paper, but then this happened, or this looks weird on paper, but they've been doing gangbusters.
Yeah. And the other the other part of me is remembering the C9 days where he would... Honestly, I didn't rate him very highly as a coach then, because he would make a lot of strange decisions of putting people at positions that they're not known for being good at. Not to the same level as Taimu on Winston, but they put a DPS player as a permanent off tank. It was weird and it didn't work, and they kept doing stuff like that, and it was nonsensical and just kind of seemed to really be setting the team back. But again, he didn't really do that in London, so...
And as a new team, you want to grab someone who has some experience.
Yeah, and I think picking up Bishop, who, has experience coaching an Overwatch League team, he's a good pickup, and we'll see how it goes. Which, I know we're saying that a lot this time, but there's a lot of question marks in this.
That's what we're going to be saying until February.
Yes.
Or unless we get some... I would love to see some exposition matches between some of the new teams. Or between
exhibition.
Thank you. Yeah. Words.
Yeah.
Precision of language. We've been recording for 90 minutes.
Then again, it is giving us plot info about the Overwatch.
This is true. So, we've been going for 90 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Paris.
Next. I'm so excited. I have been so excited about this team. I'm so excited about this team.
I'm going to miss him.
The Paris...
I'm going to miss him so much.
The Paris, we don't know their name yet.
The Paris people.
Yeah.
The baguettes.
The Paris people. I just imagined them in village people outfits for a second there, the whole team.
Okay, but can you imagine what the logo would be for that? Maybe Paris will be pink. That'd be great. The Paris baguettes. I don't know.
Oh, I love it.
This is why I don't actually do design. I just criticize it when I don't like it. I'm very helpful that way.
Anyway, Paris.
Soon!
Yeah, soon! Soon, Shadowburn, Nico, and Danye on DPS. That
Holy
is
hell.
a badass lineup.
That is terrifying.
Danye got to show off a bit in the Overwatch World Cup on Team Poland. Looked very solid on Zarya. Could also break out Genji, McCree, Pharah, Widow. He's a good sort of, stick him where you need him. I wouldn't put him on the same level as the other three.
But if you need someone who can fill the gap.
Yeah, definitely. And also, as I'll point out, one of the coaches here is known for sort of developing talent. Next is Nico, who Nico actually came from the same team as Soon, AKM, and Unko. Came up from Rogue. And those three were the DPS trio. Because it was during the triple DPS meta, and they were the triple DPS-iest of the triple DPS teams. Known for Genji, mostly, more than anything. But he can also pull out D.Va. He's a pretty...
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a competent D.Va, mostly Genji. But right there you have someone who can flex to off-tank, but can also, play a projectile hero. And someone who can just play projectile hero whenever the hell you need it. There's Shadowburn. He's back, and I'm happy to see him back. And with him, this team gets a top-tier Pharah, damn good Genji. I would put him in, just at the bottom end of that top tier of Genji, me personally.
But still top tier.
Yeah, can pull out a Zarya. And then you also have Soon, Tracer, Widow, and he said that he wanted to really this season show off that he can flex, that he's not just kind of a one-trick for those two characters.
Yeah.
Which,
but
all right.
Damn, is he good at them.
Yeah, let me see what you got, boy.
Again, Soon, Surefour, Saya player.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's going to get mad. Why isn't Pine in your top 3 widows?
I put him there personally, but
yeah, but for me, it's also an NYXL thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Plus, I don't need Spider-Man on my team.
Anyway, supports. They have Hype and Cruz. Cruz was played support originally, then played Genji for a very long time, and then went back to support again, which is a very ironic set of career decisions.
I mean, he knows how it works from both sides now.
Yes. Yeah. He walked a mile in the other shoes. He had been playing in Contenders EU, I think, for Young and Beautiful or Orgless and Hungry.
Something.
One of those two.
So we no longer have thoroughbred names; we have soap opera names.
Oh yeah, no. There's a lot of shitposty names in Contenders and
I love
Tier 2 teams.
I love it so much. Anyway.
Yeah. Heap or Hype, I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't know.
It's HYP. I feel like if it's Hype, they're missing an E on the
end. But he played for Eagle Gaming, which a lot of these guys did come up through Eagle Gaming.
Okay.
The winners of Contenders EU Season 2, which had kind of been formed. It was an all-French roster. They brought on a lot of French players here to represent France. But this team's also an EU super team with the addition of, the Russian, the Polak, the Brit from Cruz. On off-tank, we have Fincy, another person who's been around since the very early days. And it might seem a little undermanned having only one person at a permanent off-tank spot. But Nico Kandiva, Danya Kanzari, and I think Soon also has a Zarya in his pocket, no?
Possibly.
I know he's brought it out sometimes, and he looked good with it.
And they might also bring on another off-tank or another, who knows?
Yeah. Main tanks, Ben Best, who has been the tank for Team France, and I forget which team he played for as well, because I know Super Pluke was Eagle Gaming, but Badass Reinhardt, he's got a very aggressive playstyle that I like. Equally aggressive, the other main tank, LH Cloudy from Team Giganti. Mayhem had originally signed him to the academy team, but he got a better offer from Paris, and there
you go.
They let him go. They let him go do his thing.
Well, I mean, you can either be in the academy or you can immediately go to the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about that one.
Yeah, and LH Cloudy, cut from very much the same cloth as Fraggy. A lot of fun to watch.
Should be interesting.
Yes. And this is a fucking EU super team. This is like... EU fans for a very long time have been talking about how they didn't really get a real representative in the Overwatch League, because London's entirely Korean. The schedule for the Overwatch League makes it difficult to watch sometimes for EU, sometimes all the time for EU fans, and they were only getting one expansion team. But they just got everyone there.
They got a hell of an expansion team.
They got the whole party in there. They got a ton of firepower on every spot. They've got a coaching staff that 2 of the 3 I'm super excited for, and the third one he can redeem himself.
The third one's a person. That sure is a human being.
The coaches that they have announced, and I'm probably missing something, but Damon from Valiant, who is one of the Valiant coaches under Moon, and I think he's going to be the head coach. They signed Kai of former Dallas Fuel / Envious fame. Started as a Cloud9 player, went to coach for Envious during Apex Season 3, and was their head coach going into the Overwatch League season. Whether or not it is warranted, a lot of the difficulties that the Dallas Fuel had have been laid at his feet. Personally, I'm inclined to think that he was more of the problem. He was at least part of the problem that the team had. But
he's a better assistant coach than a head coach.
Definitely.
Because he was with, he went to Houston for a bit as an assistant, did he not?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And
he's definitely better there.
Yeah, and I think he's got a good eye for scouting talent. Because he was the one who originally found Effect for Dallas / Envious.
So we'll see how this goes here.
As long as someone else is, in charge to kind of lay down the law, I think he can be a very solid addition. We
Yeah.
shall see. The one that I'm very excited to see, though, get picked up, because I've wanted him to be sort of one of the Overwatch League coaches for a while, is Seita. And Seita is a Finnish coach who, if there is a Finnish player in the Overwatch League, he has worked with them and coached them.
Wow.
Who's the head coach for Ninjas in Pajamas, and then the team that they formed
Good
after
name.
after NIP the org pulled out of Overwatch. The players stayed together in a team Rest in Pajamas.
Oh, God.
R.I.P. And that's where we get Fraggy, Linkser, Shaz, Big Goose, and Zappis.
Bless these nerds.
And also Davin, who has been killing it in Team Gigante in the in Contenders, and also when he popped up in the World Cup, he looked pretty damn good. And has been coaching the new Team Gigante as well, which is where we get LH Cloudy. And one of the people Atlanta has picked up, Masa.
So Paris is the team to watch right now.
Yeah. Seita's great for farming and developing talent. He's got a great eye for who he can mold, and honestly, I rate him as one of the best, personally. So they've got a great coaching staff. They've got a super team of the best talent that EU has to offer. I'm excited as hell to see where this goes.
Yeah.
I'm hype.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm hyped with the E.
Paris should be fun to watch.
Yes, I'm excited as hell, and they've got people that are really used to playing triple DPS and triple tank. You've got a team that has a lot of flexibility,
Which is good.
Yeah, a lot of flexibility and just stuff they're good at all the stuff that they can flex to.
So again, this is why I want exhibition matches.
Yeah,
I want to see how this works.
We'll see if they do
a
preseason again.
That would be fun.
It would be. I would enjoy it.
Get me some preseason tickets. Park in the bleachers. Let's go.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
before we get to Atlanta, though, I just wanted to say that we didn't have any other updates on the remaining teams. The Chinese trifecta. Washington hasn't announced anyone new just yet. No updates on Vancouver, though the rumors say that it's going to be Runaway. And Flowervin says the whole team has been signed to Overwatch League. And
Yeah, don't necessarily say that they were signed together, though.
it doesn't necessarily say they've been signed together, but we haven't seen individual people popping up on other rosters yet. So I'm holding out hope.
So we'll see.
I'm holding out for a pink sweatered hero.
Maybe we will get announcements at BlizzCon.
Maybe, and I'm going to be there losing my goddamn mind.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of losing one's goddamn mind, let's talk about Atlanta's decisions.
All right.
Atlanta Reign, red and white with a Firebird. They're basically Team Valor if you know anything about Pokemon Go, which was definitely one of those, like, really? Moment. Like, did no one Google?
The joke was made immediately by many people.
It just... In the absence of Pokemon Go, that's a good design.
Yeah.
You get behind the Firebird, you've got a crown, you've got all these elements. It's not bad colors, although, again, we go back to Overwatch League needs to learn that there are more colors than red, white, and black.
They seem to kind of have this thing where each season they have one color they overuse, because season 1 they had blue for Fuel, Uprising, and NYXL, and now it's the red and black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've made some interesting roster decisions.
Well, let's just start off with main tank.
Let's talk about everyone else and then save the contention for last.
Okay. The 2 of the 3 people on tank, rumors were confirmed. They were correct. Pokebo and Dako from Element Mystic. Badass front line. They've been playing together for a while. They've got a great established synergy. They're
all right.
Damn solid picks. In the support roster, Kodak and Masa. Kodak played on Team Germany recently. Was on Six Snakes, which formed after Mosaic Esports kind of collapsed because of mismanagement. Played on 1-2-3, so he's been bopping around the contender scene for a good long while, looking like a beast on Zenyatta. He can frag.
All right.
Masa, the Finnish Lucio god, went from Diamond in Season 2. Now he's playing in Overwatch League. Was playing in Team Gigante recently with LH Cloudy under Seita. They put on really consistent showings, like, near the top of the EU region. I think they finished, like, 3rd, 4th in
Not bad.
Contender Season 2.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have another...
Let's talk about the coaches.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we have another Lucky Future Zenith sighting in Erster, who is now on Atlanta Reign. Enlair. Oh, something I forgot to mention. DM, who got signed to Shanghai Dragons. He and Carpe are buddies, and they actually picked the Carpe DM names together.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I love it.
And now they're going to play each other.
Yep. That's cool. I like that. I like that, like, hometown buddy rivalry thing coming to the big stage. Enlair from Last Night's Leftovers.
Contenders.
Their logo is incredible. It's a hot dog with toothpaste on it.
Oh my god.
It's great.
I think I was watching them play at Guildhall. Like, I don't remember who they were playing against, but we were just chatting about team names, and I definitely remember Last Night's Leftovers.
Yeah, and Coach Sefi, Brad Rajani, coached for LNL before coming into here, so Enlair is a player that he's got some experience with. He also was the first head coach for San Francisco Shock before they imported Bren's Lord and Savior Krusty. And prior to that, he was the coach and manager of a team called Selfless. And Selfless is one where we get Defran, but also where we get Sinatra.
Okay.
Sinatra really made his name in Selfless. And Selfless is a team that had one of the most entertainingly aggressive styles. They will push you all the way to the spawn door. They will come to your house. Like...
Come to your house, sit on your couch, pet your cat.
Mm-hmm. No, they'll go right into your fridge and drink your fucking beer. And it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of what he's trying to build this team for. And Masa's a very aggressive Lucio player who can get up in your face and get kills. Kodak can get kills on the Zen.
But if that's the only thing you build your team for, people are going to figure that out pretty dang quickly.
It's true.
You've got that for maybe a stage before everyone figures out how to counter that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, even if a team builds with a certain playstyle in mind, that doesn't necessarily make them one-tricks.
They just have to be able to improvise or work with other playstyles once people start figuring out how to counter.
Yeah.
You can't run the option for every play. You gotta do something else.
And the only people...
Keep going back to football here.
The only people who could beat them originally were Rogue, by the way. And they got reverse swept by Rogue 3 times.
Ooh!
It was heartbreaking.
Well, that's the point where you gotta figure out a different playstyle when you're going up against Rogue. They obviously have your number.
They lost to Rogue 4 times, came within 1 game of winning every time.
Wow.
And Rogue was like... At that point in time, Rogue and Envious were like so far ahead of everyone else in NA that it wasn't... the only people who could make God bleed was Selfless, but more Immortals, the team that would become LA Valiant.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we're here. Let's talk about it.
Well, before I get to that, I'm also going to mention Gator, who is the other main tank player that they signed. He is known for being the tank, coach, and shot caller for a team called Goats, which is where we get Goats Comp, the 3-3.
And that's come back into the meta a lot more now.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were the ones who sort of popularized using the 3-3 Lucio, Brig, Moira with, like, Brian Diva, Zarya. And they were the ones who really popularized that because they had a lot of big success with it. Gator is known to be a very vocal, like, in-game leader. According to Kaluj, who was on Goat from one of the early days when he was talking to, I think he was talking to Jane, he talked about how one of the reasons the team kind of struggled switching from Gator as their main tank to having XQC as their main tank is because Gator was a much more active shot caller, pretty much telling everyone what they needed to be doing every second.
Wow. That's a micromanager, not a shot caller.
Yeah, and suddenly not having that dominant personality taking complete charge of the battlefield, they weren't as organized as they once were.
Well, and I'm sure XQC is a competent shot caller in some ways, but I have literally never seen it. So
he's different playing on like an actual like team setting than he is in a
he's unpleasant in a stream. Again,
yeah,
I have opinions, but if I'm watching Custa or Emong and then they get teamed with him and I just hear screaming,
I love Emong.
Oh, he's wonderful.
And Emong was also on Selfless.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Emong was there. But yeah, Gator, the reason they ended up going with XQC instead of Gator as main coach is Gator got suspended for toxicity.
Oh my god. Why?
And that's
why,
everyone?
Why?
That's why I said that they had two players that had some had sort of a reputation coming into this. And the other one, the most contentious player to be signed into the Overwatch League since XQC, Daniel Francesca, the prodigal son, Defran.
So, taking bets on how quickly he gets suspended.
We'll see.
Which is, it's a terrible thing to say.
I haven't.
But if he's the second coming of XQC, I have no faith.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Me personally,
the devil doesn't have enough advocates, of course.
Defran, for those of you who don't know, Defran is a very, very popular player player and streamer who became known for playing in Selfless, being the player that most other players that played, when people played Selfless, they're like, fucking Defran. We can't stop this guy. There's nothing. The only people who in any way were able to stuff him were Rogue, and that's because Rogue played an even more hyper-aggressive style than Selfless did. And Defran has some of the best tracking that you will ever see playing a hit scan. He's an amazing tracer, an amazing soldier. He can flex around to a couple things. Honestly, I'm going to say this about Selfless. It was Defran and Selfless, Defran and Sinatra, like, hard carrying through stuff. I like Emong, and I'll put him as the other, like, good egg in that basket, but that team was Sinatra and Defran just being gods. Specifically, Defran.
So he's good.
Yeah.
He's a very good DPS.
Defran has gotten accounts into the upper echelons of top 500 one-tricking Torb.
There's so much wrong with that sentence.
I know, but my point is, the reason people like him is because he is that fucking good. That being said, Defran became a contentious figure in Overwatch after basically having given up on a game that his team was about to lose. Instead of running in to stagger and fight like the rest of his team was, hopped off the edge of the map. Pretty much gave up and was like, oh, well, fuck it, and jumped. And he got suspended by Blizzard.
Because you don't do that.
Yeah, and this...
It's called throwing, and we hate it.
And this was not the last time that throwing in Defran would be in a sentence. Because Defran became known for encouraging his viewers to throw games, to stream snipe people and throw...
Now, define the stream snipe.
See when someone is playing, look at what they're doing on the stream, know what shit they're trying to pull, and you can also use it to sort of track someone's movements. Oh, they're queuing now? So it's
the new version of screen watching.
Yeah, stream sniping is a thing that a lot of popular streamers have to deal with, where they'll come up against someone, they'll see like, oh, it's Kabaji, or it's Emong, and then they'll open up the stream in the background, see what the Emong or Kabaji's team is playing, or if they're pulling some like crazy strat. And he would encourage his fans to like throw en masse, and they did.
Didn't they also put throw for Defran in the team chat?
If you saw throw for Defran, it's like sailing on the Caribbean and seeing the Jolly Roger come up. It's just that moment of, oh,
it's like seeing the dark mark over your house.
Yeah, it's the Death Eaters are here. Like, And
not to make a Nazi comparison, because that wasn't the point, just going for pop culture.
I feel like people wouldn't even jump to that. I
just want to lay that out there.
I'm going to say this right here. I am not calling DeFran a fucking Nazi.
No,
I'm not.
Absolutely not.
That was not the intention of that comparison, and I don't think people would have come up with that if you said it. If you hadn't said it.
You know, you never know, and the way things have been going lately, it's just nice to cover bases. It's just the idea of seeing something on the horizon and going, oh, bad times are ahead.
Yes. And eventually, you know, he has backed off that most toxic of behavior. The throw for DeFran thing has been dead. He has apologized for his actions in the team, saying he doesn't really regret doing it, but he regrets the negative impact it had on these people that were his friends.
That's not an apology. I'm sorry other people got hurt, but I'm still not sorry I did the thing. It's like, no, you're sorry you did the...
It was more of an...
revel in the action and then
it was
be
more
sad
of
that there
an,
are
I
consequences.
don't think I did something wrong. I know that people, like, I don't think what I did was, like, necessarily worthy of that punishment, but I'm sorry that the blowback affected these other people.
Still not an apology. You still did the thing.
Yeah.
Again, capital O Pinions. My first experience in comp was with someone like this, which is one of the reasons that I don't play comp, because I don't have the time in my life to deal with this noise. It absolutely wasn't with DeFran, because I am, of course, nowhere near that skill level, but it was with someone with a similar mindset. I'm going to do what I want, fuck all the rest of you, demanded an apology from another player who had done nothing wrong, and threw until that person gave them an apology. Like, it was horrible. And so I have no patience and no sympathy for people who act like this and treat their teams like this, regardless of who they're playing with. And so when you get a non-apology like that, well, I'm sorry other people got hurt, but I'm still not sorry I did it. Well, then you're not actually sorry. I have, regardless of what Sephi has said, regardless of other people vouching for him, until we see an apology from him or different behavior from him, I have no faith in that. And
that's kind of where I'm at as well. Me personally, I am not a friend.
You're not a DeFan?
I am not a DeFan.
I hope I didn't just coin that. God.
I'm sure you didn't. I have been in awe of his skill a bunch of times, because I'm not going to deny that he is that goddamn good. But in my mind, he still does everything that you hate encountering in a competitive game. And even if he's not as bad with it as he once was, he's still, you know, he does everything that people complain about, and people forgive him because he is that damn good. And frankly, it's a double standard in my mind that doesn't... The behavior's inexcusable. If he's really cleaned up his act, I don't follow him closely enough to know. If he is, you know... If he plays well and doesn't do shitty things, fine. Power to him.
Maybe there's a chance.
If he proves me wrong, I'm all the happier for it.
And Atlanta will be all the better for it.
It's one of the reasons, like, I personally try to play devil's advocate for people that, like, if you can prove me wrong, and you prove yourself to be better than I expect, good. I'm not disappointed in that.
But when you have an entire movement that puts your name and throwing in the same sentence, and you, even if it's dead... It's still a thing
the fact that it happened.
And I don't know if an apology has happened for that. But then the other issue you run into is Atlanta is a brand new team. It doesn't have a set-in fan base yet, except for maybe people from Atlanta who want a home team. And I can't blame them. I have 2 home teams in LA, and I'm happy as a clam. And it helps that my 2 home teams are doing pretty damn well for themselves. But the problem is... You bring in DeFran. DeFran has a big fan base.
Yes.
And a fan base that has done these awful actions in-game in his name. And you are starting off your brand new team and your brand new fan base and your brand new reputation hitched to the star of a guy who is known for throwing and encouraging other people to do the same. Even if he's changed, there's no accounting for every single member of his fan base. There's no accounting for that effect that he has on the team and on the people around the team before they even start. Like, you got me, I was super interested in Atlanta. Like, maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. They signed DeFran. No longer interested in Atlanta. It's the same reason I can't root for Team Canada. They've got a great team. They've got some people I love. They have XQC. I cannot throw in.
And I do have a friend from Atlanta who had that moment of, oh, DeFran, and kind of like now has a reservation about vouching for their hometown team.
Which sucks.
And it does. And like...
And I worry about what the Atlanta fan base will be. If people who would otherwise be Atlanta fans will run into DeFran fans who maybe haven't changed, even if he has, and go, I don't want to be a part of this community. Because community is such a huge thing for Overwatch League and for different teams, especially for people who aren't in LA and don't get to see their home teams play on their turf. Which is why having the exhibition match in London for London Spitfire fans was so big.
Yeah.
Which is why it was such a disappointment when NYXL didn't make it to the finals that were in New York. Like, I think we'd all assumed that they were going to. And I feel bad for my New York friends in New York who are NYXL fans who were disappointed by that because they were going to see their home team and then they couldn't. Like, I get it. I get wanting your home team. I get wanting this community. I worry about Atlanta's community because they've started off with DeFran's fan base, and that may not be a good place to be. Yeah. And I don't know. They might keep DeFran. He might get banned. He might get tossed off the team. We might wind up in an XQC situation where he's on the bench 90% of the time and then leaves because you can't build a team around a tank that isn't there. You still have his fans in the fan base. What happens?
Yeah,
I worry about this a lot.
I agree with that, and it's one of those things where, again, I hope that he's changed his act, and we're talking about this from a very, I want to say, an outsider perspective around DeFran specifically, because of the stuff that happened in the past. I didn't really care to watch his stream and get to know the guy, so he might have changed his act. He might have, gone out of his way to try and clean up his community. And maybe he has. I genuinely don't really know. And I hope that that's the case, because otherwise Atlanta's a team that has a ton of promising talent that might deal with some controversy that could, mar the reputation of the team and make life kind of difficult. Am I excited to see, people and stuff like that are reminiscent of the selfless team that I watched and enjoyed watching in the past? Yeah, but you can't really divorce it from everything that happened since then without, seeing that change. And from the outside, yeah, he's backed off of the most toxic stuff, but I can't vouch for the rest of it.
Yeah, and again, we've had Sephi vouching for him.
Yeah.
Which is why he's on this team, I would imagine. I'm not surprised that DeFran got signed to a team that has a coach that has coached him before. I would be very surprised if any other team would have given him the time of day.
Or frankly, that he would have given any other team the time of day.
Oh, that too.
Well, yeah, because when he bowed out of the professional scene, he very much was like, I don't want to go back. I'd rather flip burgers at McDonald's than do this crap again.
So, again,
Well, he had an alt account for a long time called Burger Flipper.
Oh, my God.
Which, I appreciate him sort of taking the piss about it.
If you're going to commit to the bit, you might as well commit to the bit.
Oh, yeah, and, he's a funny guy when he wants to be. There are times where I very much, I watched his stuff in a limited amount. Very, very rarely. Mostly just to be like, okay, what's he up to? How has this changed?
I'd love to see an interview with him.
Yeah.
I would love to see what he has to say for himself. Because someone else vouching for him, okay, but this is why they ask for professional references and not just personal references when you're doing a job interview. Because your friends will say stuff that your coworkers won't, and vice versa. So I would be interested to see what he has to say for himself. How he acts in an interview. How he acts in scrims. I haven't seen an apology from him. it would be interesting to see how he handles things now, and if he takes his streaming style and his previous behavior into Atlanta. I don't see it lasting long. I see another XQC on the horizon, and Dallas is still dealing with people going, bring XQC back, and that's not happening.
Yeah.
So,
and that's, I think, best case scenario, he's cleaned up, and we just get to see one of the best players in the world who, like, there are people who have gone on record saying he's scarier on, like, the Soldier and Tracer than, like, dealing with Effects Tracer or Jaehong's Ana or whatever.
Yeah.
And if we get to see that happen, that's awesome. Best case scenario,
it would be a hell of a redemption story.
Best case scenario, we get to see that happen. Worst case, we get the XQC situation again, which
is not fun for anybody involved, honestly.
Not really.
Nope.
But again, this is a wait and see.
But it's a very weighted wait and see.
It is.
It's got some baggage. It's got a whole baggage carousel.
Yeah, it does. It does. But that's Atlanta.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway. we knew we were going to be on this for a bit.
Yeah, we knew we were going to talk about this for a while, just because that is such a contentious thing to bring. Like, we'd be worried bringing him into any established team. This is a brand new team.
Yeah.
This is it's a hell of a way to start things out, and we'll have to say, I'm thinking, I don't know if you've seen this video, the fireworks show in San Diego that was programmed incorrectly and all went off at once, and it was this huge, ridiculous explosion and then a lot of panic. I'm wondering if it's going to go off with a bang or if it's going to go off like that.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It really is. I just keep thinking of that fireworks show where it sure is a thing to watch, but wow, was that ever dangerous.
Yeah. And I'm as excited as anyone to see DeFran's play, but I can't be hype about it until the rest of that sort of has been squared away.
See, I want to see his body language, because that was actually the big thing that took me off of XQC, because I actually got to see him play a match, which was a rare and interesting thing. And watching him storm off the stage after they lost a map was a moment.
I'll give XQC some defense in that he's always been someone who wears his emotion on his sleeve, whether he's happy or sad or whatever.
But I bring it back to that professionalism line. You are a professional. Act like it.
I'm willing to give some amount of leeway for that, because a lot of people, when they're in a situation they're frustrated in, sports or gaming or whatever, it's hard to keep that bottled in, and I won't give people, I won't give people crap for letting their frustration show or not being able to contain it 100%. It's when you do the rest of it that kind of becomes the issue for me. Like,
oh yeah, it's everything, but I'm a former waitress.
Yeah.
And as someone who's done customer service, food service, etc., and you have to be on, or it's your job on the line, I have no sympathy for someone who cannot walk those 10 feet to backstage without getting mad. It's 10 feet. It's 8 steps. You can wait until you get where the cameras aren't and then lose your damn mind. Like, I have very, very little sympathy for someone who cannot exercise that tiny amount of self-control when I can stand at a table and get berated for 15 minutes and still hold it until I get back to the kitchen. Like, it just...
I get that.
And I feel like every customer service person on the planet gets that, because you have to be on.
I've worked it as well. I guess it's just like, in my mind, it's a different set of expectations where, like, in sports, showing emotion and being emotionally invested is such a huge part of it. Whereas in customer service, you have to hold it in all the time. You have your little, like, script of things you got to say and do. Whereas in sports, people being emotionally invested or losing their shit in happiness or sadness or anger, to a limited extent, obviously, is it's something that makes moments bigger and creates a sense of emotional investment, because, like,
I'd say
it builds a storyline, really.
But I'd say the flip side of that is we have excessive celebrating and poor sportsmanship penalties.
Oh yeah,
and we don't see a lot of that in the league.
That's
and
why.
Again,
that's why I said to a certain extent, there is a difference between jumping up and being like "fuck yeah," and like when you win a match, and then going over and just like pelvic thrusting in the other team's face. There's a difference between like storming to the back when you're getting swapped out, and like turning around and yelling at your teammates and then storming to the back. Like, True. If that's happened, that's where I'd be like, okay, that's unprofessional. Get him out.
But he's also the only person that I've ever seen do that, and I've been to the league quite a bit.
Oh no, I've seen some people like look pissed going in the back. I've seen that happen. Like, maybe not necessarily in the same like stomp, but there's like the aura of I'm not happy now. like I don't know. I'll give him a pass on that one. I'll give him a pass on that. Me personally.
Yeah, and this is where we disagree, because and I've come back to this quite a bit in this particular episode, but professionalism. Mm-hmm. I realize you're young. Professionalism.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my line is, and I feel like some people are really, really good at it, and some people kind of need to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and you know, in an ideal world, he would have just been like, all right, fine, go to the back, like, not make a deal out of it.
But this is not an ideal world.
yeah.
In any capacity, let's be real.
Yeah, you're right. But
we should move on.
Yeah.
We should, because we are looking forward at this point to the World Cup.
Finals
at BlizzCon.
World Cup finals at BlizzCon with the final 8 of the United Kingdom, Australia, Finland, Canada, France, China, South Korea, and the US of A.
See, this will be interesting. I kind of want to throw in for the US, just home team pride, et cetera, et cetera. And they've had a pretty good team. I would not be surprised to see South Korea or Canada take it all. And I would put Finland as my dark horse.
I was going to say, it's Torilla time. I'm in for Finland. I'm in. Finland is Winland.
Okay.
Let's go. I'm
right.
Well, one, Finland has a lot of my favorite players on it. Fraggy, Linkser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zappis, who I think is criminally underrated.
And even just looking at these matchups for the first rounds, UK and US should be interesting, but I really do think that US has that one.
Yeah, and
generally speaking.
Yeah, and like I think the British Hurricane tank Fusion's coming in to replace Christopher for Team UK. I think it's an upgrade that'll make the team a little stronger, but at the same time you've also got the fact that they had scrimmed with Christopher more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that first matchup is going to go the way of USA. I think that the UK put together a solid team that definitely was going to be the ones to make it out of group stages. But I think you're running into teams right now with some of the best talent in the world across the line.
Yeah.
And that's where UK's going to have some trouble.
And then look at the next match, Australia versus South Korea. I want to pull for Australia. It's got my man Costa on it.
I'm gonna.
But it's South Korea,
guys. I'm gonna root for them. And South Korea also. They're the other team going into the finals that have made some roster changes. Sabiel B, Meko, and Arc are out, and in come Fleta, Fury, and Anamo.
Which is interesting because Sabiel B is real good.
Yeah, but Tracer's not so much in the meta right now.
That's true.
Fleta's hero pool is wider and more applicable than Sabiel B's is. And I think Meko is a better diva maybe than Fury, but Fury's a little more solid all around. And Anamo and Arc, I don't know because I've mostly seen them both play Mercy. So I don't really know what the difference they're looking for here is.
We're looking at their secondary heroes, I guess.
Yeah, or at least maybe what was primary until Mercy became the thing you have to play.
Yeah, and now that Mercy is no longer the thing you have to play, because I feel like Overwatch League has been really good for Overwatch in terms of balance.
Yeah.
And that trickles down to quick play, etc.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, the pro scene always has been helpful in fine-tuning the meta for whatever game.
I mean, Brigitte is still broken, but I fucking love Brigitte, so I will take it. And saying that you like Brigitte is a really good way to get yelled at in professional Twitch streams, I've discovered. A lot. Mm-hmm. With love, because this was Custis chat and everyone is friendly and good there, but still, it was like, I like Brigitte, and everyone kind of went, what? What?
Went, that's not okay.
Like, you sure about that? And I'm like, yes. I'm not a great player. I can do Brigitte. Yeah. Allow me to be broken in my own little corner it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, let me have fun, damn it.
Yep. Let me go in there and enjoy my paladin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pulling for Australia, but I don't see it happening.
I think Korea's got it.
Just because it's South Korea.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, Finland and China. Finland's been running train, though.
They've both been running train, though. They both absolutely stomped through their group stage. China came through completely undefeated. Finland lost like a nail biter against South Korea.
And that's South Korea.
Yeah, it was 3-2 Korea, where I think every map went to like 99-99.
Good
the
Lord.
tiebreaker on Nepal. And I remember watching that, Jane losing his fucking mind. It was great. And I'm going to show you that one.
Nepal is not an easy control map.
No, it's not. And they went the distance on it.
Yeah. So that'll be very, very interesting.
Yeah, Finland has been able to hang with South Korea, and I don't think China's faced that same caliber of opponent just yet.
So we'll see.
China's a damn strong team, though. I think Gushui, Yveltal, I think Shy is going to be awesome to watch. Crystal's awesome to watch. They've got a lot of really good people over there.
And I'm wondering if most of those people won't wind up on the Chinese expansion teams.
Oh, I'd be shocked if they weren't. I'd be shocked if some of them weren't already. And I think
they're all in DC.
I think there's a rumor about Gushui going to Guangzhou, I think, or Chengdu. It's one of the two.
Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see them all signed in the league now that China's in the top 8 and going to BlizzCon. It's a big deal.
It is. And
I'm surprised that Brazil didn't make it.
Honestly,
because that's a team name that I'd seen a lot.
Yeah. Well, I knew Brazil wasn't going to get through because they were in a group with the US and Canada.
Well, yeah.
They were just not making it out of that group by placement.
That's true.
The thing is...
That's true.
Yeah. I think that they are capable of playing in, like, a more competitive contender circuit than the South America. I think they've gotten as good as they can with the level of competition that they face.
So we're back to Geggery stats. She's pretty dang good for a team that was the literal bottom of the barrel. They are the best. Brazil is the best in South America, but South America's contender scene, but South America's contender scene isn't as strong as China, Korea, US, UK.
I'd mostly say that the contenders scenes that are the like top tier proving ground that you see Overwatch League ready talent come out of are Contenders NA, Contenders EU, and Contenders Korea.
Yeah.
And so if you can hang with those groups, you get developed to that point where you're Overwatch League ready very quickly.
So we'll see what happens with players from Brazil.
Yeah. But
maybe signed to academy teams?
Maybe, and I hope they do. But Finland and China, I'm giving it to Finland, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be easy, and China, if they win, I will be disappointed because I love Finland, Torile. But I would not be shocked either.
Yeah.
Like, Canada versus France is another one that I think has the potential to be really damn close.
Because they both have really good teams.
Yeah, they both have really good teams with good coaching. They both looked like bosses in their group stages.
Again, I'm throwing it to France for reasons mentioned earlier, and those are very personal and have literally nothing to do with team statistics.
Honestly,
because XQC's on Canada, and I just can't.
I'm rooting for France. I don't really want one to win over the other necessarily. I'm ambivalent at this point.
Either way, it's all going to be really good.
Yeah.
The only one where we're looking at it going is Australia and South Korea, and that's just because anyone versus South Korea would be a rough match.
I think UK is going to have a rough time as well. But I think France is going to win because most of their team has been playing together for a significant amount of time.
That's true.
You have AKM, Unko, Wins, Nico, and Soon, all of whom were like rogue OGs. Like, they had been playing together for ages. They know each other inside and out. That synergy is really developed. They have Damon to sort of help them adapt. You have Ben Best, who is an awesome tank. You've got Poco, who's an amazing off-tank. You've got a real lineup of badasses on every position. And you have the established structure of guys who have played together as a team for a very long time. You have a really cohesive core that the rest of that is built around. Whereas Canada has a great coach in Jane. I love Jane. I love watching his streams, and I want to plug Jane's streams if anyone wants to just watch someone who analyzes Overwatch very well and, you know, can use that to get better. Watch Jane's streams. And I think Canada has a lot of really big talent, but I don't know that they have that same level of cohesion, because if you look at USA versus Canada, they really sort of came apart in that last map they played against each other.
Yep. Overextension.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because Canada, one of the things they said going into the group stage was that they didn't have as much scrim time as they wanted to. So perhaps we're going to see a reinvigorated Canadian team here.
Now that they've had a ton of time from their group stage to here. It's been months.
Yeah. But my money is on France.
Yeah. I cannot for the life of me remember who it was against in that group stage, but for France, just watching them completely destroy people.
That's most of the teams they were up against.
Well, yeah,
UK was the only one that put up a fight.
But particularly it was, God, Egypt map, help me.
Anubis.
Thank you. My brain kept saying Nimbani, and I know that's not correct.
Oh, yeah, Soon just decapitating people all the way back to spawn.
Soon just sitting on that arch and destroying people.
Was that Poland or Denmark?
I think it was Denmark. Regardless, I remember watching that and going, oh my actual God, they're not even going to set foot on the point. This is just going to be 6 minutes of Soon slaughter. Mm-hmm. Which is, again, why I'm going to really miss him on the Valiant. But man, if Paris isn't going to look great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even just... And that's one player on this team.
Yeah, and then you've got Poco, who can show up as Zarya or as D.Va. He's really good at both. You've got Ben Best on main tank, and he's a fucking juggernaut. You've got Nico, who can pull out a crazy Genji. You have AKM, who... I feel like AKM is someone who the Dallas Fuel's struggles has caused a lot of people to severely underrate. He is the best soldier in the world, with the only competition he has being Defran.
They'll put him on Genji. He'll be fine.
They've got a badass team.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm going to be parked in Guildhall watching all of this go down because I'm not going to be in Anaheim. I will be in Guildhall enjoying myself.
Yeah. And then the second round is going to be interesting as well, because if that happens, then it's USA versus South Korea in the semifinals. And that's going to be a fucking barn burner. It's going to
be a bloodbath. It's going to be murder all around.
Honestly, though, I think USA has a very good chance of doing it.
Oh, yeah. I just... By default, you kind of go, oh, South Korea, because South Korean gaming scene is bonkers.
Oh, it's
always
insane.
Is.
But the USA...
We've got a good team.
They've got a good team, and they've got Arrow, who, in my opinion, like Arrow, Krusty, and Seta are like the best coaches in Overwatch. So you have a team of absolutely stacked, players who have been playing at the top level possible, a lot of them playing together. Mm-hmm. You've got one of the top coaches in the world, and they've had time to get ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, all of these teams have had time to get ready.
It's true. But honestly, I put Muma a little higher than Fate on the main tank totem pole.
No kidding.
Yeah, I do. I think Fate is very good, and I probably underrate him a little bit, but I would put him in the top, like maybe the number 5 spot, and I put Muma maybe at the 4.
Who would you put at the 1?
Probably Fisher.
Yeah, probably Fisher.
Probably Fisher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be interesting. And then Finland or China versus France.
Yeah.
And I love that we've just France. It could be Finland or China versus Canada.
Yeah,
that bracket could go any which way.
That bottom half of the bracket is anyone's game, and that's fucking exciting.
It really is.
I'm really hyped to see which direction this all takes, because I think we're going to have a lot of really close games.
I do.
I think UK and Australia are going to lose. I feel confident in that. But from that point on, I think any of these teams, can at least show up.
But even then, I think if UK wins and then goes up against South Korea, or if Australia wins and then goes up against the USA, I don't think that they will be able to pull it out twice.
Yeah.
Either of
the
them.
Bottom
I
half
don't think they have a chance at the top.
Yeah, I think...
Just because of that bottom half of the bracket, it could be any of them.
Yeah.
These are all amazing teams.
The thing is, Finland, we know that they nearly beat South Korea. They came closer than anyone has in the World Cup to date. China has looked ludicrously dominant in their group stage. Canada went to the finals last year, and I think it was 4-2 in favor of Korea.
I don't remember.
And now they have Jane as head coach. France, team of
France.
Yeah.
France is France. We have established this in depth. It's honestly, I hate to keep bagging on Team Australia. I feel like they are the odd one out here. And that's nothing against them. It's you're number 8 of the top 8, but the top 8 is still the top 8 out of how many teams do we have? 30? 40?
I think it was 24 this time.
Still a lot. You're in the top third, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the top 6, the difference between the top 8 and the top 6 is very big.
Yeah.
And
so I hate to just be like...
Just like the difference between the top 6 and the top, 6, between the top 8 and the top 16 was very big.
Yeah. And it's also because it's Australia versus South Korea. If it had been Australia versus the UK, Australia versus, I don't know, maybe China, maybe Canada, maybe, I don't know. I just feel like this specifically, Australia versus South Korea, I hate to call it a foregone conclusion, but South Korea is just so completely insane.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Pretty much. That's where I'm at with it as well.
I feel like it's going to be one of those March Madness things where we all have our brackets and then all of a sudden Duke is out and Air Force is in and you're wondering what the hell just happened.
I mean, I'm wondering what the hell just happened, and I didn't even see it happen. I just don't know what... I don't know basketball. I know enough to know that those are basketball NCAA teams.
Duke in March Madness, Duke is usually a fairly safe bet to make it to the top 8, the top 4, the top 2. Duke is usually pretty dang good, to my understanding. Air Force is my team because personal reasons, and Air Force is not always great because it's an academy team, and when you are an armed services academy, you have to have a certain grade point, you have to meet certain tests, you have to, sports is not going... You may have been recruited for sports, but you still have to pass a lot of academic rigor in order to be able to play.
Yeah.
You can't just recruit someone who is an incredible talent but gets a 2.5 GPA on average. That doesn't fly for a service academy team.
Yeah.
So to have a service academy team get that far is nuts. And they've done it, I want to say, once or twice to recent memory. So it's one of those things where it's here's my team. I love them. They're kind of an underdog. We got how far? What? Duke's not in anymore? But we are? Okay. It's one of those things. There's always someone that is a safe bet, and odds are there's going to be an upset. Gonzaga's going to go down, or Duke's going to go down, or these teams that are they're usually pretty safe bets, and then this year they're not. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at Australia is Air Force and South Korea is Duke, and hey, it might happen. You never know.
Okay, that's an analogy I can run with.
Probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it might.
It might. I just checked the subreddit to see if any announcements were made in the time that we were recording.
Have there been?
No.
That would have been amazing if you'd said yes, honestly.
Yeah.
It's only been 2 hours. It's been 2 hours.
The one amusing thing that popped up was the reason we've heard nothing on either Lucky Future Zenith's Lucid and Element Mystics Rappel was because Overwatch League teams weren't aware that they were both available. They're getting some offers now.
Huh. How do you do that oversight when you're looking at the rest of the team? Did someone just say, "Nah, I don't think they're available," and everyone else just picked it up and sprinted with it? Or
maybe.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Neither do I, which is why I'm asking. We're professionals, you guys. Professional adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, holy hell, this has been quite an episode. This is what happens when you have 3 weeks of updates and you push them all into one episode.
Yep.
And then you go into BlizzCon.
Yep.
And we are going to have a post-BlizzCon episode, and we will see how that rolls out.
But I think about 2.5 hours. Yeah.
I think we're a little less than that. We've got some time at the front and some time in the middle where we weren't.
Gotta cut it down a bit.
But we're still looking at our longest episode to date, and we really need to not go that long without recording again.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that we're done playing catch-up, we can get rolling. So the coverage from BlizzCon is going to be super interesting.
Yes.
You will be there.
Yes.
I will be at Guildhall.
Yeah.
Follow the Twitter. We will be live tweeting. Possibly both of us from different locations.
You probably will be live tweeting. I'm bad at the live tweeting.
You will be screaming.
Yeah, I'm going to be there screaming. That's what I'm going to be doing. Yeah.
And I will have a drink and some fries and my phone out in front of me and probably screaming at the TV because there sure is a watch party planned.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
LA locals, Guildhall. It's where it's going to be.
Oh, hell yeah.
It'll be fun.
And if you're at BlizzCon, I'll be there.
Yay!
Woo!
Good times and great oldies. Anyway, this has gone on for long enough. Thank you for sticking through this if you already have.
Yeah,
Thank you for hanging out for this madness. It is a very, very good time. CJ, where can the people find you?
At _rage_nerd on Twitter.
And I'm Katie. You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. We do have a podcast Twitter, of course. That is On The Point Pod. And also, if you want to support us, head over to fredsbs.com, fredsbs.com, and use coupon code ONThePoint for 20% off of your entire order. Enjoy it. It is a good time. It is good food, and you're definitely going to want munchies to watch this these games go down.
I'm going to eat one of these cookies right the hell now. Like, as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to eat some of these.
Yeah, you've been staring at these for 2 hours going, I want them.
Well, it's also just
that
like...
is self-control.
The mic is positioned in such a way that if I'm going to be doing, like, proper mic technique and facing my mouth towards the mic, I have to be looking at the cookies.
Not my fault. You put the cookies there.
They can't escape my peripheral vision at
all.
You
put them there.
I know.
You did this to yourself.
Yeah, because it's my desk, damn it.
Yep. Well, I blame you because it's your fault.
Whatever. Cut.
All right, you guys. Have a good time. Enjoy BlizzCon.